Peace, YouTube. It's KJ back again with another video. So today we're going to get into the next entry in the Symbols of Power series, and this is going to deal with Erik Killmonger from Black Panther. So if you haven't watched the movies, you should definitely watch the movies. If you haven't read the comics, you should definitely read the comics. But when we go into this, we're only going to talk about the first Marvel movie that they made, and maybe a little bit about the second entry and touch base lightly on the comics, but not entirely. So Erik Killmonger, a symbol of power for all, right? When we talk about the villains in movies, we have to understand that movies are told two different ways. And I'm going to shout out Brother Panic for the way that he taught about movies and how to decode them, and the way that you're looking through them. Really, you want to be able to see the story that's being told to you up front, and you want to see the story behind the story that they're also telling you. And so one of the things that I've learned, and you might know this, is that the villain is usually telling the second story. The story of the hero is the first story. And usually the villain is actually the true hero, especially in what they stand for in some regards. A true villain is told, a really good one is told in a way where you question whether or not the hero, the protagonist, is actually right in stopping them and what they stand for. That's how a really good villain is written. And when I look at Erik Killmonger and Black Panther in the movie, that's exactly what I'm getting from him. The villains in the movies, they usually do unethical and amoral things so that you won't understand a story being told. You're going to be too emotionally caught up in the things that they do that aren't exactly morally correct, the rules that they break. But when we watch stories like Death Note, when we watch stories like Dexter and Black Panther, we find ourselves questioning the motives of the heroes, questioning the motives of the people who stand against the villain. The entire story of Black Panther and their protagonist, it shows that duality between everyday black people and their elites, or whatever you want to call them, whether it's the boule or whatever their so-called oppressors are, right? We're going to get into that too, because their closed society in Black Panther indicates that they're only concerned with what benefits them, even if it includes withholding the vibranium. That's what the Wakandans, their royal family, and all the other tribes, that's what they're concerned with holding in. Keeping that vibranium, keeping their society closed away from the rest of the world. And it's exactly what Erik Killmonger and his father cannot stand for. They won't stand for it. They want to change that. They want to spread that vibranium. They want to spread that power, that knowledge throughout the world. And you can syncretize this to knowledge and mysteries of how to understand, how to control your reality. A lot of people like to say that, oh, the black upper class is gatekeeping or whatever the case may be. You can also syncretize it to that as well, but I think it's a little bit deeper than that. And I'm going to tell you how it's a little bit deeper than that, because whatever elites you believe in, regardless of wherever they come from, the boule, whatever the case may be, the government, whatever you're trying to name it as, because we like to give a million different names to things that we think are holding us back. Nothing's holding you back. And whatever people that you believe in, politically, religiously, whatever the case may be, are not interested in, and they have never been interested in helping you. You're supposed to be the one to help yourself spiritually, mentally, physically, politically. It's always been about you pulling yourself up by the bootstraps. If you ever heard, you know how they tell you in pop culture, right? Whatever case may be, oh, why are you complaining? Why don't you just pull yourself by the bootstraps? Nothing's holding you back. There's no slavery anymore. You know what I'm saying? There's no segregation anymore. And in a way, you've been told based off your programming that that's something you have to hold on to. because you've been told 12 years a slave since you were a kid. You've been told segregation over and over again ever since you were a child. And that's all you know. You don't know the rest of your history. That's why you're lost. And your lack of knowledge, not just of your own history, but of yourself is what's holding you back. So I want to ask, how are any successful Black people possible in this day and age if you're truly oppressed? See, you're under the mindset that you're oppressed. So there's nothing anybody outside can do to you worse than what your own mind can do to you. So if you believe that you're oppressed, you're going to start to move and act like you're oppressed. That's the real slavery that you're in. It's just the lingering mindset, the symbols being shown you over and over again that you're still held back by whatever case may be, whether you're trying to put the blame on some authority figures, you're trying to put the blame on other races, right? But at the end of the day, this is an individual thing. Why do you think America is such a hyper individualized country, and why every other country is following in the same footsteps, moving away from a group mindset, moving into an individualized mindset? Because at the end of the day, it's really about you at the end of the day. We can talk all this community stuff. That's what they did in the ancient cultures. But at the end of the day, we're moving more towards individualism. And this is exactly why Erik Killmonger is a prime example of the mindset that you need to embody. The ones who have been interested have been killed the same way that he was killed. Erik Killmonger went down as a martyr. And on a bigger level, this is a personal journey, and only you are in charge of your own self-discovery. You're in charge of your self-development. You're in charge of your spiritual development, your spiritual knowledge. So if you're not taking that into your hands, then you're oppressing yourself. Absolutely. If you're not doing the spiritual work, you are oppressing yourself. If you are allowing yourself to be mind controlled on a day-to-day basis, you are oppressing yourself. If you're trusting authority with taking care of your problems, making sure you're well off, solving these societal issues, you're never going to be able to free yourself. And you won't be able to free anybody else either, because you're too dependent on this system. You're too dependent. You're too obsessed with this reality that's been made for you to keep you a slave. So I recognize this video might not necessarily be for everybody, but what I will say is that you have to put yourself in Erik Killmonger's shoes. He was a child born with nothing, ripped away from his own country, which is prosperous, powerful, knowledgeable, very advanced. That's you. That's all of us. You're ripped away from your soul when you come into this human reality, and everything was taken from him. This is the story, that traumatic story. Everybody has this, the human experience. His father was murdered by his own brother because he was trying to help others, the same way that Killmonger grew up to help others or try to help others, right? And you can syncretize this to Osiris being killed by Set in Egyptian mythology. That was his brother. And Erik redeems his father by going on his own journey, vowing vengeance and redemption for himself and those who look like him. So, and off screen, his mother is in jail. They don't tell you this in the movie, right? But off screen, Erik Killmonger's mother is in jail, and she dies in prison, and she was unable to be rescued by her husband or his father. And that's symbolic of your spiritual energy sleeping, because you have to syncretize the woman. Every time they show the woman, they're showing you the feminine principle of spirituality. They're showing you the sexual principle of spirituality, the Kundalini energy. That's what the woman usually symbolizes. And so her dying is symbolic of you losing that part of yourself. That's the part of yourself you have to learn how to raise up. You have to revive that. It's sleeping within you. Him redeeming his father is you redeeming your higher self. And it's up to you to rescue yourself through your spiritual work. It's up to you to save yourself. It's up to you to lift yourself out of poverty, to do better for yourself. You can't rely on really anyone else. Other people can give you pointers, directions, and tips. Other people who are more successful, most likely, yes. I've had mentors. But at the end of the day, the best mentors, the people that have taught me how to help myself, have given me pointers and directions on how to help myself. This is why I always give out books that I mention, because if I don't give you the books to refer to, then how are you going to be able to take from where I got the information from and help yourself? You won't. I don't make people listen to me and not get the same information that I got it from and see what they can do it for. That's what this series is about. You want to be able to take the character and put yourself in their shoes. And so this story, his origin, is supposed to show you that this type of origin is something that we all go through. It is the catalyst. So you can either use it to transform yourself and go beyond your suffering and to move forward, actually go on a real mission for yourself and for your soul. Or you can become dependent and be absolutely nothing. That's the real battle that's going on here. And when he says that he killed in America, Iraq, and Afghanistan, and that he lied and all this on all these things. And you know what's funny? When Brother Panic did a video on this a while back, his channel's deleted now. But when he did a video on this a while back, he was saying that this was symbolic of him doing the alchemy, the mental alchemy, which is changing his thoughts, changing his suffering, changing his experience as a young black man in America who lost everything and had to pick himself up from being an orphan, pick himself up from being absolutely nothing, living in a country where he may have dealt with things that weren't optimal and optimal living conditions, growing up with nothing, growing up with no one, being cut off from his family, knowing the truth. This is exactly the things that he went through. He changed that into something better for himself. He grew out of that. His own personal journey through that, all those things, all of that alchemy is his darkness. The darkness is the journey. That is the mystery, like I said in previous videos. And it was his teacher. He was able to transform himself into a stone cold killer going through those same things. And I can relate to him as well, because I didn't necessarily have, you know, I had my parents in the picture, but not in the closest way. I didn't necessarily form a relationship with my father until later in my life. And then once I formed a relationship with him, that's when my mother, you know, went off the rails. So, you know, this human experience thing is challenging. But you have to be able to see your story through these characters, because these characters, they're speaking to you. So you have to understand, okay, why am I going through this? And how can I use this to benefit me? How I use that to benefit me is I didn't let it hold me back, but I let it transform me. I let it expand my heart, instead of me becoming jaded based off of the things that I went through, based off the abuse that I went through. Wakanda is a closed society with elites, power, and knowledge that can change the world, and they hide themselves. It's cowardly. If you're so powerful, if you're so knowledgeable, why should you hiding yourself from the world even be a thing? And so symbolically, what this is showing in the movie is that they're not confident enough to step outside. They want to portray you in that way so that you look weak. But what it's really saying is that something in you is hiding. That spiritual power within you is hiding, and it's up to you to really turn around and activate that. You're hiding it within you. That's the way that I see it, is that you're hiding it within you, and it can only come online when you're ready to do the spiritual work and allow it to come online. To gain the knowledge, to do the meditations, to do the exercises to bring this online, to really learn about you and let go of whatever's holding you back. Let go of any mindsets that are holding you back, especially this oppressed mindset that I see is so prevalent in this day and age in 2024, the end of 2024. We're still in the same spot collectively. Yeah, we moved a little bit further. Okay, everybody's spiritual now, but what are we doing with it? Are we doing anything worthwhile? Because I only see a handful of people that's really doing anything worthwhile. And a handful might not be enough right now. You can't sit back and allow yourself to be programmed and to be kept in a slave mindset. It's just not a way to live. You should be thriving every single day, striving for your mission every single day, spiritually, mentally, physically. So your belief and your hope that someone will come along and make a change is only going to keep you hoping. And so this movie tries to portray this hope mindset to keep you hyped up for whatever next leader steps in the light that gets popular politically or whatever the case may be, to keep you hyped up for that. When has any real leader in recent years gotten together and actually made a real dent in society for anybody? And I'm only speaking to a certain group of people when I say that. Because real black leaders, they're not here right now. Haven't been here for quite a while. You guys rejected them. Elijah Muhammad, you might not agree with everything that he said, but a lot of things he said came true. But y'all rejected him. You know, plenty of others were rejected. And even the ones now that's trying to help you now, you know, were rejected. And this is what we have to really realize. And I'm speaking to the black people now. What you have to realize is that people will show up and they will tell you the truth. And they show you this in the Matrix, where they tell people the truth. And some people just aren't ready to be unplugged. It's like in Persona 5, when the politician gets outed by the Phantom Thieves, and this is at the end of the game. Everybody finds out all the crimes that he committed, you know, and who and what he really is. No one accepts it. And he can't even confess his crimes, but nobody accepts it. Once they find out exactly what he did, no one accepts it. They don't even believe it's true. That's how everyone is right now. The truth is right in front of you. No one wants to see it. No one can help you if you don't want to see the truth. If you want to just keep hoping and hoping and hoping someone's gonna change your reality, someone's gonna step in and save you, you're gonna be stuck in that cycle of hope forever. That's a religious mindset. You're waiting for something to save you. But if you read most of these religious texts, read those apocryphal texts, the Gnostic texts, Jesus is telling you to save yourself. He's not telling you to wait for him. He's telling you to save yourself. And the only thing that has been done, the only thing that they have done is show you that them being in these positions means that you're not as oppressed as society, history, and the media makes it out for you to believe. That's the best thing that any of these black leaders, so-called black leaders, black upper class, have done. They've shown you that it's not real. How is Kobe Bryant possible? How is LeBron James possible? How is Obama possible? And Kamala Harris, I guess, if you want to include her too, how is that possible? You can't be helped until you come to this realization to help yourself. And when Killmonger asks, how do you think your ancestors got these? You know, when he's talking about in the very beginning of the movie how all that stuff was stolen, giving them the real history of where it actually came from. All of your stolen heritage and knowledge and your ancient history, all of the appropriation, is one thing to know that this happened and go out and protest online, write a bunch of things on Reddit, you know, go out in the streets, yell at people, dress up, wear a kufi. It's one thing to go out and do all that, and it's another thing to understand this history and actually use it to uplift yourself spiritually, transform it, and make it into something new and something greater. Make a new history. The new history is being made as we speak. But if we're too busy arguing about the old history, we're not going to get anywhere. When has arguing ever got us anywhere? And I want to make it clear, I'm not here for black people. Don't consider me a spokesperson for black people. I'm just giving my message. So I'm going to put that out there right now. But what I will say is that because the way he's being portrayed in this movie is showing you exactly who and what you can really be. This is the type of leader, this is the type of mission that you can truly be on, but you can be doing it for yourself, rather than waiting for somebody to save a group of people, you know, rather than having a dependent, oppressed mindset. And even if you're not black, everybody can feel some sort of relation to this character. Everybody can feel some sort of relation. And truthfully, Erik is who we should all aspire to be. We should all aspire to take matters into our own hands. We should all aspire to aggressively pursue self-realization, spiritual realization, and the truth. And give our truth to the world in whatever way it pops up. Living from the truth, you're living from your heart. Why do you think I talk about the heart so much? Because if you're not living from the heart, you are living for the world. And when you're living for the world, you're living for your desires. And when you're living for your desires, you're living for survival. That means you have nothing to live for. You're just living to live. But we're here for a reason. It's why everybody seeks out some type of spirituality. Some type of spirituality. It's why a lot of people get up in religion. They know they're here for something. They know life means something. You're not here just to exist. You're not here just to survive. You're not here. We're not just here by accident. Everything you do has a purpose. But when you start living purposely or purposelessly, then you start living like an animal. The only thing that separates humans and animal is that spark within you. That spiritual spark within you. That is the one thing that separates humans and animals. If not, you'd be swinging off vines, scratching your ass, literally. And that one thing that separates humans from animals is really that spirituality. It's that spirit. It's that soul in you. And there's ancient history that talks about that mankind and humans were around until something happened in humans where that spark got into them. But before, they were just straight up animals. So clearly something happened that changed all of us at some point in time. At some point, souls decided to inhabit animal bodies. For what reason? It's for a purpose. And that purpose is exclusive to you. And if you're not living that, you're living like an animal. Erik taking the throne and distributing that vibranium to the rest of the planet is how things should be. That vibranium, that's that truth. That's that spiritual purpose that you have within you. That's that spiritual light that you have within you. You need to distribute that light, whatever it is, wherever it comes from, whatever that purpose that you have within your heart, distribute that to the rest of the world. You have to live for you. You're not living for nobody else. But oddly enough, when you start living for who you are, your soul living through you, then you'll start to have a better effect on the world. Then you'll start to have a better effect around the people around you. But you can't have that effect if you're only living for your lower desires. We're all supposed to collectively work on a spiritual level through whatever we can to do. And you're not supposed to do it in groups, because groups are failures. And Brother Panic talked about this all the time. Groups are failures. You want to do it for you and for you only. If you want to start a group, go ahead, do whatever you want to do. But we're not all going to collectively get on the same page. It's been done before. And there's a reason why it's not happening now. This is what I'm going to take it back to, that capitalism thing I was talking about. I'm going to take it back to that individualistic society thing I was talking about. It doesn't work now. That time for groups is over. It's been over for thousands of years. It's the time for you. Not us, you. Collectively, everyone will move once everybody starts living spiritually. But as of right now, focus on you. Because when you focus on you, vibrationally things will change. You have to start thinking in a spiritual sense. When people start acting and doing and living spiritually, that makes a certain subconscious vibration throughout the universe, throughout the world, spiritually. Do spiritual first, then the physical will align. And then when he burns the heart-shaped herb so nobody else holds dominion over others, that's also symbolic, because at the end of the day, him doing that means that no one's going to be above the other people. Getting rid of that legacy of them holding all this knowledge, them holding all this power over others, not giving anything to them. Truthfully, the Wakandans weren't doing shit for other people. Yeah, they would do things here and there, but there was a problem. And so him doing that was ending that legacy symbolically, that legacy of holding everything back. And like I said, there's nothing no one else has or that they can do that you can't do for yourself and that you can't do even better. And at the end of the movie, when he dies, he said he would rather die than be a slave. You need to follow your heart all the way through. You can't live your life with an oppressed mindset. You can't live your life with that type of mindset. It doesn't lead anywhere good. And I know you might swear, oh, this person said this to me that day. I can't get a job, whatever the case may be. You have to stop believing in it. Stop believing in your oppression. Well, I don't care what happened in history. Respectfully, I really don't. It doesn't matter to me because it doesn't apply right now. I understand it. I learned it because I had to. And I learned even more so. See, they want you focused on the last 100 years of your millions and billions of years on this planet that you don't know about. That's what they want you focused on. They want you focused on recent events. Why do you think everything that comes out, all it has to do is about fear, death, destruction, war, poverty, health, everything bad. They don't want you to hear anything good. They want to keep you in a fearful mindset and in a slave mindset, to listen to be controlled, to not follow your heart, to follow what other people tell you to do. That's not living spiritually. That's living physically. And honestly, I don't even think that's really living physically either. That's just being automated at this point. You take commands like AI does. That's what you're living like. And everybody's worried about this AI shit. It's not doing anything. Nothing that you can't do or better. And T'Challa's way of honoring him is to offer handouts. When you think about Wakanda's outreach center, it's nothing empowering for those that look like him. They would rather have people rely on them than teaching them how to empower themselves so they don't have to rely on them. And Wakanda opens its borders at the end of the movie, and then vibranium, it goes to the Avengers and the affiliated parties and governments. You know, they're okay with giving it to them, but it doesn't go to those who could really make a use out of it, could really take it, advance their technology, become scientists, doctors, researchers, whatever the case may be. They don't need the vibranium. The authorities need it. The Avengers need it. You see what I'm talking about? So in the movie, they're just showing you that that's what they would rather do. Because even if they did give it to you, you couldn't help yourself because you don't understand it, or they don't believe that you can. So others couldn't help you even if they wanted to. You only have a certain understanding of your own situation. If you have it in you to help yourself and actually use the information to propel yourself forward, but you have to want to do that. You have to have that drive within you to do that. If you don't have that drive, nothing can help you. Nothing can save you. And again, you're not oppressed. Oppression doesn't exist anymore. It never has. That's a belief. That's a mindset. The same way that depression is a mindset. It's a decision that you're making, an entity that you're calling about. You're calling upon anxiety. That's another entity. It doesn't exist. Oppression doesn't exist. And they're trying to show you this in the movie through Erik Killmonger's character. This is redeeming him. The way that I'm speaking about him, I'm putting him in the frame of a character so that you can start taking this mindset and carrying it through your everyday interactions. Get rid of that mindset. The mindset that you need to embody is like that of a warrior. That of a warrior who will stand up for what he believes in, regardless of what's being told to them. Man or woman, still a warrior. Black or white, still a warrior. You have to follow your heart. And that's the only thing that's really going to get you out of the mind control of you being held back in life. It's so easy to blame the rich. It's so easy to blame a government. It's so easy to blame and put blame on everything. But at the end of the day, for every excuse that you make, somebody else was affected by the same things that you went through, in the same world that you live in, probably in the same country that you live in, and still made it. Physically, got that money, spiritually, got that spirituality right. Guarantee you. Because tons of people do it every single day. So why can't you? Because you've been programmed to make excuses. You've been psyoped into thinking that it's in somebody else's hands. That's like saying somebody else is your God. And in this age, on this channel, no one else is your God but you. And if you're religious, hey, then you do have a God. But who I'm speaking to, when you're a God, you are empowering yourself. You are making decisions of what you want to subscribe to. You are controlling your reality. You're taking ownership of your own life. That's really what it's all about. Take ownership of your reality. It's your weight to carry. And when you do so, you'll notice the rewards. Because when you start really taking ownership and you start letting go of that mindset that you're being held back, getting rid of that blame, then you can start to get somewhere. Killmonger didn't sit around feeling sorry for himself. He got out and he made a difference. He worked under enemy territory, did all that to become king. And the very same people he tried to help turned against him because he was following his heart. So take that and do what you will with it. Not saying you're going to go through the same things, but take that mindset that he had, that symbol that he had, find some type of relation and just go with it. That vibranium is your spiritual light. That is your spiritual power. You have that within you. But it's up to you to tap into that. And you can't tap into it when you're blaming, making excuses, and staying the same. Complaining. It's hard out here. It's a hard life. It's a hard existence. The human experience is difficult. That's still not an excuse. It's supposed to be difficult. It's designed to be difficult, to make you pull your hairs out. But it's up to you to make the change. So that's the entry on Erik Killmonger. Peace.